Hello and welcome everybody. This is Yaniman bringing you a Fleet Ops audio commentary. Today, I have a tournament game. I believe it's the Spring Tournament 2012, and we have Crisis and Wiese.Hano here. Um, so I've commentated a couple of Crisis' game, and he's pretty decent, so watch out for him. And I have no clue against Hano here. So he could literally be a dev in disguise, or completely not. So who knows? So Vice is sporting the Red Federation, and he is starting off with basic, looks like economy sort of strat. However, he is a little bit slow here, so looks like he is trying to figure out what he wants to do. He's got his scout on explore. Now let's go down here. Crisis is setting up the conduction matrix. He knows he wants his dilithium moon first, and so we are looking at probably a skew brush. Lots of skewbs and probes. And so let's see how he goes that way. The reason I say that is he's not going for an early sphere, because most early sphere builds will go for the titanium moon first, and that's pretty much why I'm saying that. But he still does have his options. He could go dodecahedrons or the like. It really kind of depends on what his opponent does. If Wiese.Hano goes, say, monsoons, the dodecahedron is going to be complete crap against him. The Intrepid, on the other hand, would be completely ineffective against the Dode. So if Crisis sees Hano going Intrepids, the Dodes are going to be an excellent choice. Now, the one thing to note here is that since Vice is just now putting down his Starfleet engineering, he's going to be a half step behind here, and he may find that that is going to be a tough half step to recover from, as tournament play tends to be pretty vicious, and rightly so. You want a good, tough game, no holds barred in these tournaments, and we shall see. So just waiting for the Starfleet engineering to finish up, and we have the Antares yard going down just now. However, I will note that it does appear that there's only 2 miners on each of these moons. Now, for a full mining, what you really want to do is you want to have 3. It's really about 2.5 effectiveness, so you don't get a full one off the third, but you really do need to throw on that 3rd miner in order to get the benefits of mining. Just the extra try and die will really help you out. I do notice this scout is still on explore, and it's kind of freaking out here on the top. So Vice is not going to see what his opponent is doing, and he is not going to really know what's coming. So scouting being ever so very, very important in these games, he's going to be working with another half step behind in that regard. You can see up here this little blue dot that Crisis is scouting, doing a good job of scouting. He probably does see this, and we see sabers. So lots and lots of sabers while chassis level 1 is going up. If we were really looking at pure saber spam, I would expect another Antares yard and completely skip the Starfleet engineering, as this chassis level 1 is not going to help these sabers at all. The other problem with those sabers is they are kind of paper mache targets, and these scout cubes really will tear them to pieces, especially with the right intercept modes. So it does look that Crisis is positioning himself to be in a better position. We see that in the meantime up here, Vice is moving over here, both of his constructors to take his expansion. That will, I guess he's looking to, expanding is good. The problem here is that you can see that Crisis has identified this move, and he is moving, not only he's moving his constructor up to place uplinks, and I kind of like it when Borg players do this, especially in the early game. It gives them that extra distance while so that their next ship doesn't have to travel as far to attack. And you can only get away with this maybe in the first 5 to 9 minutes of the game. Once you turn around the 10-minute mark, things start getting a little bit more complicated for your constructor. But it's good. It's free time, and you know, Warren Buffett's credited with saying dollars for pennies, and that's definitely dollars for pennies there. So I am almost going to expect this to go very poorly for our friend Vice here, as these two ships are going to burn down this constructor, and it looks like Vice is still putting down a storage dock. That's a little bit tricky here, as he should, if nothing else, put down a Antares yard or something. The Antares yard goes down really, really quick, actually, and he could get a repair going. At this case, he is going to lose his constructor unless Crisis wants to assimilate it, which would actually be kind of funny. No real use. You don't get much of a... Not going to really mix tech with Borg, and especially not with this assimilate. It gets almost no benefit from assimilating something, which is kind of crazy, right? I mean, it's the Borg. You expect a little bit of a benefit from it. In the meantime, we are going to see that this other constructor is going to try to finish up the storage dock, and it is going to finish up the storage dock, but I still think that's a waste of resources. Crisis is going to go... it's just going to beat this second constructor down, and he is just going to put a stop to it. You see here now that Vice is having to invest in more constructors, as this one is going to take its leave of the world. Tries to get a platform up, but realizes that it's just not going to happen. And there goes the assimilation. Now, one things I was teasing Crisis about earlier was, you know, not knowing who Weiss is. You just really, you know, it could be anybody. You know, maybe it could be one of the devs trying to like get in on the tournament action, and you know, under an alternate handle. And so Crisis was kind of, he was actually worried. Said he did a little bit of research and could not find anything on Vice, and so he was a little worried. Vice is now a number of steps behind here, with a nasty early Borg fleet in the mix, and it looks like Crisis is just going to come in here and cut off the legs of this economy, and that's really all he needs to do. If Vice wants to get anything going, he really needs to, I would say, almost invest in... Well, the Intrepids are a good move here, as they will at least pack a little bit of punch, but that is going to be really hard actually to overcome from... He's now roughly about 3 full steps behind. Crisis is firmly in the driver's seat here, and he's looking to continue his terror, as he's got an intercept, double intercept dodecahedron. I think that's the module, and we see here that Vice is trying to expand again. However, now see, if you'll notice here that this early strat, these guys do almost next to nothing against these buildings, these It's a complete waste of time of attacking these structures, as these Borg cubes and probes just do almost nothing. And it really would be a better investment to come over here and just literally cut the legs off of this economy. Meantime, somehow Vice is managing to stick around with a little bit of money. I almost want to say go warp ins to try to get something going, but he is going to be he is down ships. These 3 sabers here is the bulk of his army against these 2 scubes and 2 probes. That is going to do nothing really, as these guys will be able to overpower any of these ships. An Intrepid out there kind of evening up the score a little bit, but really not enough. If these 4 Borg ships could kind of get in on the action a little bit, they would tear some stuff up. What's really kind of interesting though is I'm not sure if Crisis has seen this, but he sure is acting like he has. I think what he did is he saw with his detector the movement of one of these Mediterranean classes, these constructors, and so he suspects that, yes, he very strongly suspects, and he is about to confirm that there is a Fed expansion here. Well, not much of an expansion, just getting up the platform. And that platform will finish. The question is, will that get turned into a phaser platform fast enough for it to be useful in any form or fashion? Now, Crisis is really not doing the right thing here. He's going after this constructor, giving this Virgin platform all the time in the world. And that is going to turn into a phaser platform. Yeah, the good old phaser platform. These 4 ships will take a little bit of damage from it, and then they're just going to walk away. Really nothing to go after with this set of ships. In the meantime, Crisis has got a really good job here of putting his detector in the middle, just trying to keep an eye on this. We shall see. So the actual assault getting kicked off, knocking out random sensors, engines, weapons. These are the wrong thing to be going after this guy. This is just a bad matchup. This dodecahedron will take out all 3 of those guys quite easily and be no worse the wear for it. Now these sabers being exposed a little bit, looking like Crisis is going to take advantage of it. Going to get a saber kill. Those things, paper mache ships, serving really no purpose whatsoever here against these Borg ships. And these Intrepids getting a little bit frisky. The Intrepids will withstand take the beating a little bit better, but man, do they need to watch the heck out. These Intrepids will do nothing against the dodecahedron. That's Crisis's response to the Intrepids, being that the dodecahedron is a support ship, and the Intrepid's ADAI basically makes it useless against them. It does no damage. Well, it does less damage. I like to say no, but you know, whatever. 60%. I mean, you'll be sitting there for twice as long, if not more. Well, actually, you'll be sitting there only half as long because you'll die. You see the dodecahedron's axial assault whacking on this saber, knocking out engines, knocking out life support. That saber's basically dead in the water, and it's not even dead yet. Those dodes really getting these hits off. Oh, and the ever beautiful disable on the engines, knocking those things out. I swear that is the most that is the subsystem that is the most important. There is nothing more important than knocking out the engines, except maybe the hull. But you knock out the engines, you get the hull, it's just bye-bye. And even weapons, if you can disable the weapons, whatever. Ship can still get away. Disable the engines, it's a dead-in-the-water thing. So now these 6 Borg, these 2 cubes, 2 probes, and 2 dodes, the 2-2-2 strategy, really romping up on this last Intrepid. This game is over, folks, as we're going for a little bit of a simulation. And we get the transport, last of them, and we now have a Borg. Intrepid. So Christ is very, very, very firmly in the driver's seat here. And this here guy is sitting on nothing that he can... Nothing that he can fight with. He's just going to end up losing his economy over and over again. And Vice's entry into this tournament against Crisis was, ooh, really nasty. So let's go see what Crisis is doing. Crisis has expanded a little bit here. Sort of a half expansion over on his natural. He should be building up for a cube anytime now, and I do believe he's hanging out here. There goes an uplink. That should be not a cube. That'd be awesome if you could buy a cube for 50 cc's. Now that'd be a sphere very shortly, so that it can waltz in and get a little bit of tankage against that starbase. So Vice having to set up economy, but every time he expands, Crisis is all over this expansion and just not letting him get anything out of it. Which, you know, no freebies here. No freebies. Now, where... Whoa, hello. Sphere. Okay, finally getting built. I mean, that's a dangerous, dangerous thing when you've just invested 50 cc's and you got this structure that's building, and that is a weak thing. It is a super weak structure, and it will burn in no time. And this guy here is sitting here for something like a minute and a half. A minute and a half for a big investment to be completely vulnerable. Very nerve-wracking. Weiss trying to get something going here, setting up another platform, at least building off of his phaser platform. He's going to find, though, that the Borg are just going to avoid that platform until he gets his sphere, which is coming off in about 30 seconds. Let's see. This thing upgraded? Looks like not quite. So Weiss not able to produce any ships, or at least not producing any offensive ships. It's going to try to invest more in platforms. But again, the problem with platforms are they are just, you can avoid them. Here we see dodecahedrons positioning themselves quite nicely against Vice's dilithium mining, and down another miner goes. Now, one of the things that you'd almost like to see, the constructor assimilation, not so great. The Intrepid, much better, but the real thing that he could get out of an assimilated vessel would be these miners. Just boost your economy a little bit. That's really the only assimilation thing that has benefits other than throwing some weapons at something. Over here we have a sphere hanging out here, and this looks like a prime regen sphere. Is this guy 30? Yes, it is. So we're looking at the prime regen sphere. Quite nice one. Another Antares yard, which is quite interesting, as he is not going to be able to even build out of one. So I don't know what his plan of attack here is. But tournament play giving Weiss a nice Borg shock here, as Crisis is going to move up on in this guy. Federation here not going to fare very well against this attack, with no offensive power to defend against, to chase off any of these ships. not having enough resources after building this Centauri's Yard, not having enough resources to invest in the turret he wanted down there. So the Borg slowly burns through the titanium mining, and that is going to hurt because that is one of the things that Vice is locked on. He's titanium locked, and this game is over. Here's the other thing too. Watch these dodecahedrons do nothing to the shields of this guy. I've never quite understood this one. I've seen scubes do more damage to structures than the dodecahedrons, and I've always wondered if it was some sort of property of these photon torpedoes, but I do not know. So at this point, another sphere going to come up so that it can attack with more impunity. And sitting there just kind of silly. Could be putting pressure on the Centauri's Yard, trying to end this game a little bit quicker. But no such luck. And Vice trying to still get something started over here. Where is his storage dock? Storage dock. At this point, he probably should just deconstruct that guy, get a little bit of resources out of it. If nothing else, have a little bit more resources. And I don't know what Crisis is waiting for. Finally, Crisis moves up, and expecting that to be a sphere anytime soon. So sphere needs to move up, and there we go. Starts attacking this Centauri's Yard. And says instead that a nice juicy miner will do quite nicely instead. And he gets it. So here comes all of the early Borg fleet, including that assimilated Intrepid, as they close in and start shelling the crap out of what remains of this base. Are the structures in this base. A little bit very odd how they're all fighting against something else. They'll be here much longer as his constructor kind of hangs out here, taking shelling from the dodecahedrons. I don't know why these guys are peeling off. But they're back. You know, just in case someone was... I don't know what the heck was going on there. So now, Crisis is going to move in on this base, going to take out the Centauri's Yard and just slowly deconstruct the stations around here. Deconstruct in the manner of using phasers and photon torpedoes and, you know, that sort of deconstruction. Let's go take a look at his in-the-pocket uplink, and he's sitting on 88 cc's. Maybe we're looking at a diamond. More and more recently, a lot of players are moving into diamonds earlier, as those things pack a large punch, and bypassing the spheres much quicker. The one thing about spheres, they are a heck of an upgrade for sustainability. Like their hull and their defenses, and that regen is just crazy. But it doesn't pack as much of a punch as you might think. Even at 74 offensive, I mean, that's pretty good, but it just doesn't have... Somehow it's not an offensive beast. It is hanging out here, just soaking up that starbase fire, though, quite nicely, as they go after the Centauri's Yard. even though these dodecahedrons are doing next to nothing to this storage dock. It could be at least helping out against this Centauri shard. And we really have GG here any moment now. That sphere taking almost no damage. You know, maybe I see about 5% from that starbase. And really this should be GG very, very soon. Yep, diamond on the way, almost completed. Let's see, does he have the support station associated with it? No, he does not. He did build the adaptation matrix using the assimilated constructor, which would help him with his one Intrepid, as a rogue probe tries to get all frisky with the starbase. Looks like they're trying to sort of, I don't know, take some fire off of this sphere, let it regen some stuff, you know, special energy. They are making about 58% through the shields of the starbase, and they will eventually get it. Here comes the diamond, sporting lovely torpedoes at it. 92 offensive, and it needs to move up into the starbase and start doing its thing. Notice this sphere is sitting on about nothing. It's crazy. Torpedoes, wow, you can really see the diamond really make a difference here, and this looks like a fully offensive diamond. You gotta love those guys. Long range torpedoes, beam, hits really hard, kites crazy like. And the starbase is going down ever so slowly. We're now at 50% hull, and the GG needs to be here any moment now. As this lone constructor down here stays out here, there is nothing but a GG waiting for this any second now. I think Wiese is going to make Crisis do find and kill him completely. And I think Crisis will be fine with that, actually. And a little bit of network trouble. And down goes on the storage dock. And it's nothing left but the explosions here, really. Interestingly enough, they are going after this guy. I would almost say might as well assimilate it. Why blow it up when you can, you know, recycle it? Actually, that's one of the good things. If you assimilate a station, all proper-like, and board it, you will actually get vision of all of the remaining stations on the map for about 2-3 seconds. It comes in quite handy if you're looking for those sort of off in the corner stations. But in the meantime, wow, that diamond and sphere really made short work of that engineering. And they're going to make short work of the storage dock. Oddly, I don't know why Crisis is moving his stuff around. Maybe he is just scouting with it. So in the meantime, they decide to go after this platform, and a pulse platform comes up with good old ablative armor. And in comes the sphere and the diamond. As this one old probe taking a little bit of extra damage. Wow, and the diamond knocks it down with the torpedo. Pretty crazy. Crisis is going to end up losing this probe if he doesn't watch out. And I don't even think he knows it. I don't even know if he cares. Gets a kill, finally. go. And now we have a mining station and a mining station and a scout. And now this is the time you GG. Crisis being very gracious. Weiss being a good sportsman too. As we are about to round this game down to the hopefully GG here very shortly. Well, this time, folks, I'm just going to follow the action, and I am actually going to sign off as there's nothing really much more to commentate on. I'll leave you with the explosions. As always, I will catch you on the flip side, and see y'all later.